I'm probably going to be knitting for the rest of my life, to be honest. I want to knit some hats. I am a hat person. I look good in hats. Let's take a look at some examples so you don't have to take my word for it. Here I am on my last day of school. I dressed up as Captain Hook. I think I rock a pirate hat, it turns out. Tricorn? Is it a tricorn? This is me at about 10 or 11 years old. Peak hat wearing time for me, I think. Little knitted beret, very cute. Here I am on my 3rd birthday. The youth romanticizes the 90s, but your parents were allowed to dress you like this and no one would do anything about it. And here I am as a baby. I don't think I could pull off a bonnet today, but when I was that round, it's a look, it's very cute. I don't think most photos of me as a baby are cute, but I think this one is cute. Now onto my current hat predicament. I bought this one for a trip to Japan and I lost it on that trip. I lost this hat in New Zealand. I'm hoping I'll do better with them once I make them myself. Maybe I'll feel more emotionally attached to them. This one doesn't look it, but it's actually too tight and I get a headache pretty soon after putting it on. And also I kind of just want something that's a little bit like, I want more hat than this. I like them to be like chunkier. I'm already getting a headache from it. This is the first hat that I knit. I don't like extra space up here. Like I don't like them to be weirdly tall. And also this one is too tight and gives me headaches. This one actually fits me perfectly and is super cute. So thank you, Kate, great job. And now this brown one that I am wearing most of the time is actually too big and constantly like slides down my face. It doesn't go with anything that I own. Brown is not my color. And also it belongs to Thomas. So as you can see, we are in a deficit of hats. And so to round out my unnecessarily thorough list of reasons that I have decided to make some hats, it's just gotten really cold in Melbourne and I am wearing a hat every day. The hail this week didn't melt for hours and it snowed nearby. So yeah, it does get cold here. I'm very cold most of the time. So this week I want to knit 5 different beanies in ascending levels of difficulty as I perceive them. First, I want just like a really classic double brim beanie. Is that how I say it? But you know, like that like double fold on the brim, super cute, just kind of goes with everything, just a very casual beanie. So for that one, I'm going to be using the Minute Beanie pattern by Melina Paulina. And I hope I am saying her name right. Apologies to everyone who makes patterns. Next is Beanie No.6 by My Favorite Knits. I have been looking at this one on Pinterest for months now. I love the faux shirling style. It's so cute. And I do want to do the decorative I-cord edging that is seen on some of the examples that you get on Pinterest. After that, I am doing the City Hiker beanie by Melina Paulina again. I'm not sure that I'm gonna be able to pull off that cute little pixie look, but we're gonna give it a go. Probably my favorite hat in the lineup, it is the Gujo Hat by Agio Knits. Agio Knits. I'll just put the text up. Love this hat. This feels kind of like the most elevated hat of the ones that are in here. It feels a little bit dressier, I think, than the other hats. And lastly, I am hoping that I will have learnt enough from the 4 previous beanies to be able to design my own one. I'm going to attempt one without a pattern. Wish me luck. I can't tell you how excited I am to have a variety of cute hats to choose from that might actually go with outfits. It's knitting time. Okay, this is not an ideal spot to film, but I'm following the last of the sun as it leaves us for the afternoon and I want to sit in the sunbeams. This is the yarn that we're using. This is a Bendigo Wool Mills Luxury. I think it's 200, it should be 200 grams. I did an up shopping trip. Oh my god! Oh, hell yeah. Well, that just blew my budget. And so the pattern for this one calls for, I think it's worsted weight, but basically it says I can hold 2 DK together and this one is DK. Also, I will be using the Xiaogu. That's my best try, okay? If someone knows how it's pronounced, please let me know. I use the interchangeable Xiaogu stainless steel for pretty much everything, alternating cable cast on for 2x2 ribbing. I thought this was gonna be the easiest one and we immediately need to watch a tutorial. Oh no. So with Bendigo Wool Mills, it's like impossible to pull them from the center. It doesn't work that way for some reason. Oh, yes. Oh, someone already found it for me. We're in business. I was just about to say that I'm gonna have to unravel this into 2 separate balls, but I'm not. We've got both ends. Worked out pretty quickly that it is actually too bright to film here. So this cast on method is for ribbing and you do a different direction for the knits and the pearls. I'm very slow at it and also you have to do 2 rows. That has to be the slowest cast on that I have ever done. Also, why is this coming up as red on camera? I swear it is orange. It's like this like crossing over back and forth kind of vibe. I'm not even done casting on. So we've got my stitches on and now I need to alternate the stitches because this is for 1x1 ribbing, but this is gonna be 2x2 ribbing. So now we have to like do the first row, switching some things and then join it in the round. So I'm gonna do that. already done it wrong. So they want me to just grab this one, take them both off, then catch that one, put this one back on. I've been at this for an hour. This is supposed to be the easy one. We'll just do what she says. Slip the first one. So I'm just gonna do that. This cast on was a lot of work, so I'll be really curious to see if it's worth it, because to be honest, I find that my long tail cast on is really stretchy anyway. Probably would have saved me a ton of time if I just did the long tail cast on. Look, it's good to learn new things. What's happened here? Oh, I should have done that really. Oh, look at that. Wait, what's happening? Okay, so yeah, I don't love that. Yeah, I can tell you right now that I am never doing that cast on method again. Long tail cast on is perfectly fine, and I really don't like that join. But at least now, after all that, it's time for the easy part, just 2x2 ribbing until we get to the decreases.
I made that coffee just to film it.
I do not have the wherewithal to film aesthetically when I make my real coffee. Anyway, good morning. Last night I dreamt that I just very easily got into the splits. It was amazing. And then I could touch my foot to my head. And I was like, why don't I do this all the time? It's so easy. And then I woke up and my neck hurts because I slept stupid. So this is our progress. This is how we're going. While I knit this, let me tell you something about my brain. I really struggle with detail. So like the planning for these 5 hats that I'm doing was so difficult for me to wrap my head around. Just like, which patterns am I gonna do? What yarns can I use from home? What can I substitute? It didn't take many rows of doing this hat before I was like, huh, so this is like a 2x2 rib. Honestly, I think I was picturing stocking knit. Yeah, I was like, that hat has a double wide brim. That's what I wanted. I wanted like the double fold. I actually would prefer this hat. This is Pearl Soho's chunky brim hat or something like that. I would have preferred that hat in orange. We're here now. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. So remember how I said that I'm pretty sure you're not meant to pull Bendigo wool yarns from the center for some reason? That reason is the way they're wound. This was getting horribly twisted, and because I was pulling them from one ball, there's no way to untangle it like I normally would. So I separated it into 2 balls with the Swift and Winder that I now feel like I'm finally getting my money's worth out of. Still got really tangled though. If you notice a big jump in progress here, it's because I got a lot of the knitting done on the couch at night in my pajamas, and I feel like we've already seen enough of me bedraggled in my hoodie. Good morning. We're at about 10 inches for the hat, which is shorter than what you're supposed to do. I'm a little concerned at how much yarn I have left, because if you think I have to knit these 2 together, so like that's all I have, and we have to do quite a few rows of decreasing. So I've decided I'm just gonna start the decreases now, and considering that this hat gets like rolled twice, I'm sure it'll be fine. I will say, so I didn't do a swatch gauge for this one, and I normally do, but for a hat, I was like, meh. Yeah, I'm a little worried about how tight this is gonna be. I feel like maybe I might be doing it smaller. And also, just as an update, I hate this join. I hate it so much. It's so ugly, and I really wanna fix it, but I wanna know which way is the right way for the hat before I do that, So it was like slip 1, knit stitch without knitting it, then start the round. Everything on the internet was just like, yeah, I just fix it after. So like, if there's a better way to do that, please let me know, because it feels like I did it wrong. But yeah, we have our 4 little markers, and we're gonna do decreases. Hopefully we will have a hat soon, because I don't know if I mentioned this, but we're doing 5 hats, and I was planning on doing them in a week. I kind of thought it would take 5 days, because I made Thomas a little fisherman style hat, like this one here, and it took a day. And I was like, cool, hats take a day. There's a bit more going on here, and they only get more complicated from here. So, oh dear, this is probably going to take longer than a week. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's been 5 weeks. So I am a little bit worried about this, if I'm honest, because it does say that the decreases will mess up the rib pattern, but I guess we just kind of like resolve it as we go. I don't think I've ever done a knit 2 together when one's a purl and one's a knit, but that's what it says to do, so. Okay, so I am clearly confused here, and now I know why. I'm doing these decreases wrong. I couldn't remember how to do SSK, and I looked up a quick video, but I watched a Pearl Soho video, and they slip one knitwise, one purlwise, then knit them together. But the pattern instructions say to slip them both knitwise. Man, I hope that these decreases look better after blocking, because they are ugly. But you know how this is called the minute beanie? We're on day 3. The decreases will not get prettier after blocking, obviously, because I did them wrong. Anyway, I don't have DPNs in this size, and I avoid magic loop like I avoid doing my taxes, so I decided to switch to a set of twist shorties that I have, which are teeny tiny 3-inch needles. Almost immediately, I realized these weren't small enough, so I switched to the even tinier 2-inch needles, which are about 9 inches with the cable, which solved all of my problems. This is terrible. It is so slow and awkward. These tiny ones were fine for doing the sleeves on a jacket where I didn't have to do decreases. This is very bad, very slow. I'm having a really rough time. I admitted defeat and switched to magic loop. Well, not really magic loop. It might be called traveling loop. I move the loop around continuously, which helps me avoid ladders and also order, because apparently I'm allergic to that. But with the decreases done, I was finally able to complete hat number 1, doing all those finishing activities that are necessary for knitting, which I will do when it's exciting and new, but actually hand washing my handmade knits? That's a once a year activity. We did it. The first hat is complete. I'm a little disappointed because this is how much yarn I have left. I could have got another couple of rounds out of that, so that's a bit of a bummer. That has to go into my scrap pile, which I will eventually either learn how to spin and make into new yarn, or I make a big old scrappy jumper as soon as I can get my hands on Laoke Baggers, I don't know how to pronounce it, the book Close Knit. I got a voucher to buy books from a particular bookstore, and the week that I went to go and order it, they stopped stocking that book. So anyway, the original is in like a brown cashmere with a light beige teddy deer boucle yarn. It looks so good in that classic shearling colorway. I just don't think it suits me. I don't wear much brown. We're trying to move away from the brown hat that I do have. So what I went with was the leftover alpaca blend yarn that I used for the sweater. This should match this jumper without being too matchy-matchy. Like they'll go together, but they won't completely match. This is so soft and fluffy. I am excited / apprehensive to work with it. A lot of reviews say that this is a little bit tricky. So the suggested needle for this one is 4.5 millimeters. And I do want to check this because let me tell you, no one in Australia stocks this yarn. I had to buy it from Etsy and have it shipped from Europe. This was not cheap. I'm not even gonna think about it. I don't remember how much it cost. Yikes. Suffice to say, I want this to fit. Basically because to get an accurate swatch, you are supposed to knit it in the round and then wash it and then let it dry and then look, I'm going to knit a couple of rounds, see how it's feeling, and if it's a little bit tight, we'll go up a size. I'd really like it to fit, but I also don't have time for gauge swatching and I don't wanna. It's a hat, like, I don't wanna worry about that. And I'm also terrified of running out of this yarn because of how expensive it was. It smells like sheep. It smells so strongly of sheep. Let's hope this one's just a long tail cast on and I can get straight into it. Beanie No.6, let's go. It's so cute. It's such a cute hat. It literally just says cast on. It doesn't say what kind of cast on method to do. Excellent. Okay. Okay, I am confused because I thought I was going to do a semblance of a swatch, but apparently I dove straight into casting on, which is weird considering I just explained in depth how expensive that yarn is. Long tail cast on has failed me again. You know what, fine. We'll do a teeny tiny swatch, I guess. Do we do a swatch? Yeah, I knew I did a swatch. All right, takeaway so far, it's incredibly soft and fluffy. How am I gonna see the stitches? What good is this? What good is a gauge swatch when I can't even see individual stitches? I should have only knitted to the 15. Like, it's impossible to even tell if I've done like knits or purls. I mean, it doesn't help that I've left the light really low at the moment. Aesthetics be damned, we're having a light. I know, I'm sorry. All right, so the first time I measured, it was 16 stitches for 10 centimeters, and the second time I measured, it was 14 stitches, and we were aiming for 15. Kind of seems like much of a muchness, and I don't seem to be able to count them. So my stitch markers were all the way on another table, so I used my wedding ring. I ended up sizing up because I decided to do a weird little, I didn't show it because honestly the lighting is just terrible, but I did a little gauge swatch where I just continued moving the swatch over on the needles so that I could continue in stocking that stitch so that we don't get the change in tension that you would from going and stocking net, well, from going like knit purl, you know what I'm saying? And that came in at 14 centimeters. So, no, not 14 centimeters, 9 centimeters. So I worked out that like if I'm like a stitch short, now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know if this makes sense. There's 4 stitches difference between the small and the medium. And I figure there's about 4 rounds worth of the 15 stitches gauge. It's about 4 rounds around my head, right? Oh my gosh, I can't explain this, but basically I think it will even out if I go up 1 size. That's what we're doing. I think this gets folded 3 times. It's pretty long, so it's just gonna be rounds of stocking net. So other than the fact that the boucle is really hard to knit with, so far this one's easier, thank God, because let's be honest, if that first beanie is the easiest one, I am in trouble. I'm gonna keep going with this and I will check in with you tomorrow morning. Good news, very little progress was made. It's also the afternoon, not the morning, I'm sorry, I lied. There actually is good news. The good news is, I was overthinking like crazy last night and I was really worried that I got the size of the hat wrong. So I did actually knit up a swatch with the 1 size bigger needle. So this is the 4.5 and I gave it a try in the 5mm, way too big. So we've done the right thing. It was a little bit small in my current size for the... I sized up 1, it's good, that's correct. Because I have a really bad tummy ache. The slow rot of the mind. Where are you off to? A 90s party? Oh, he's drinking water. I was like, what is Alf doing? I want to learn a second language. It doesn't matter. We're not having anything on. I also got a bag. Stop talking, Ashley. Then I get to buy the Codex one. I did leave Thomas stranded in the rain, and that's what we're gonna do. It had an aerial. Why did I do a pearl stitch? I need to know when the roads are closed. I'm so sorry, editing me, that you have to deal with all of that. So was it obvious? Basically, I've been trying to spend less time online and more time working towards my goals, reading books, etc. And Lady of the Library's recent video inspired me to make it a challenge during this project. It was going amazingly well, in no small part thanks to our internet provider who decided to do scheduled maintenance they didn't tell us about. So we had no internet for like 10 days. I actually feel like the hardest part is my knitting gets in the way of my reading because they're mutually exclusive activities and it's taken me 6 months and I'm only halfway through Dracula. I had a conservative goal of 5 books this year. Number 1, it's so soft and squishy and light. I really, really like this yarn. I am very, very much considering buying a whole bunch of it and making a jacket with it. This is one of my white whales of knitting on my Everest. This jacket here by, I think it's Grey Level Knits, Grey Level Knitter, in this yarn. I reckon it would be so cozy. The color work looks really difficult. There's all sorts of features. The point is, I put on some stitch markers to just get an idea of, just make sure that I haven't dropped or picked up any stitches. We have picked up 2 stitches. I'm not going back and fixing that, absolutely not. So I'm just gonna take the 2 stitches off and we'll continue on our merry way. Oh my God, it's so nice. It's so nice. It's so cute and fluffy. I actually think that this would have been really cute in like a bright orange, just a hat like this. We're nearly there. Obviously we're on to the second ball now. So I will keep knitting this up until we are at the correct length, which honestly, we're only 1.5 centimeters off, so yay! Oh my gosh, we're actually making good progress. Please enable me and tell me that you would watch me make this hat in orange and all fluffy so I can buy more of this yarn. Thank you. It's time to switch to our other yarn. And I just remembered I need 2 strands of it. I found the end. This is one of the few purchases where I've spent a bit of money on it and I have never regretted it once. Well, okay, no, that's a lie. I regretted it for like the first 6 months where I didn't even take it out of the box and I was like, oh. Much easier when you find the center strand. I am feeling so positive about the choice to use the alpaca blend for this. So it's got these little flecks of white through the gray, and I feel like that works really well. Look at how satisfying the stitching is with the 2 yarns held together on a 4.5mm needle. Oh. Okay, I'm in the car because Thomas and I are going on a little Friday evening adventure to get some shopping done. We've gotten to here, so I'm gonna start doing the decreases. I'm immediately overheating by having this on my head. Oh my God, it is warm. It's gonna be so good for winter. Hello, we're outside because it's early and I don't want to wake up the rest of the house. Also, it looks like it's going to be a really nice day and the sun is directly in my eyes, so I won't sit here for long. But look at how good that hat shaping looks. Oh, So nice. So I'm up to the last of the decreases. So I need to do knit 3 together. So we're gonna do our best to make that look nice and neat. And then it's just closing off the top of the hat. And then what we do is we'll do the applied I-cord along each of these little pearl seams. After that, the hat needs to be secured up because obviously it's just gonna keep unraveling if I don't secure it. So I'm thinking for that, I might just use more of this fluffy yarn and just do some little like stitches between. And that means we get to start a new hat today, assuming that the I-cord doesn't kill me because, sorry, it's so bright. What am I doing? The double decreases were actually pretty straightforward. They're just annoying to do. I had to speed this up because it took 25 seconds just to do one of them. Oh yes, and I switched to magic traveling loop for the decreases and it was fine, I guess. But cool thing about making your own stuff, I used the large measurements for the width and the medium measurements for the height so that it would fit my head. You just wouldn't get that with a board hat. That's why they all have that stupid amount of fabric at the top. I was really nervous about the I-cord for some reason. Maybe because last time I attempted it as a total beginner and it was on a curve. Apologies for the jump scare. I was also really worried about doing this on cables instead of DPNs, and I have no idea why I was so convinced that would make it more difficult. It took me a little while to get the hang of it, but it's actually very straightforward, which is really how all of knitting feels. Like, it looks complicated, it sounds complicated, and then it's fine. We finished the hat. Fanfare. I don't know what I was worried about with the I-cord. It's really easy. It's just time consuming. This is what is left. Cool. Great. I'm thinking that with the remainder of this, I might knit Thomas a Christmas hat later in the year. He'll be way too warm, actually, in Christmas for it, but I think it'd be really cute. Do a little fluffy brim and then like a red pointy thing. So we'll put that aside. We can also put it aside, buy more of this yarn and make a second hat for no particular reason. Someone would want it. Very fun make. I also have this much left of the alpaca, so that's great because we're doing the city hiker next. And for the city hiker beanie, this one here, first of all, oh dear, I think this is gonna be the most challenging one. It has double knitting in it. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how to do double knitting, and I spent a very long time this morning trying to find a tutorial that was only showing one strand because all of them were for like one color on each side. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that, and that's 2 strands. It's very confusing. For this one, we are using this yarn, and you've actually seen this yarn before. I'm wearing it. Okay, I have to be super quiet because everyone is asleep, but this is an alpaca wool blend and a hand-spun alpaca and silk left over from my sweater. I use Landscapes dyes, which, as I've said before, is the only dye I trust. But basically, I went with this one because, first of all, I actually really do love the texture of this jumper. Also, this is gauge. I remember it being like 13.3. I think it was on 5.5, but it'll work out to be 13 on the 6mm needles, which is what we need to use for this pattern. I really want to just jump straight on into it with this one. The first thing is we're going to do a different cast on method because this one wants a long tail cast on. And I know I said I like that one, but the long tail cast on method then requires you to do a mattress stitch at the end. And I hate a mattress stitch. I think it will look like pursed lips at the top. I'm going to do Judy's magic cast on. And I just watched a tutorial from Nimble Needles, of course. I can do it. I did it. I spent way too long trying to figure out how to join it in the round after you cast it on. I was like, it's just gonna be this flap, what's going on? No, you just keep going in magic loop. All right, so we do a loop. This one comes forward and around. This one comes forward. I feel like this is a perfect moment to mention how amazing it is that people, in this case Judy, have figured these things out with knitting. It works, but who thinks of this? Well, like I said, it's Judy. This cast on is so useful. I can't even explain how it works, but it saves me sewing this together at the end. It's crazy. We have a very long tail. That's fine. It doesn't matter because we have more yarn. That was the point of that. That's why it's a good thing. We have leftovers in case we need to dye more. I think this is enough. Like that's pretty hefty. I'd be surprised honestly if we get through all of this for this hat. Did I mention that I thought that this process would take me 5 days to knit 5 beanies? I think we're at least on day 5, if not day 6, and we have just completed our second beanie. So that looks good. It says a beginning of round marker is optional. No. All right, we have our markers. We're about to lose the one that starts the round, so I don't know why I bother. Okay, brain. Make one right. So the increases happen before the marker. My brain. I'm just gonna try it. I don't know why I'm whispering. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna figure it out and we'll be like, wow, that was so easy. I don't know why I was so worried. All the markers keep that middle section straight. I see. I see. And then we have a knit stitch on the outside of that. Oh, I get it. I get it. That's exciting. I guess I'm a learn by doing kind of gal because this is actually incredibly simple. Okay, we have started our increase rounds. We have a little peak forming. It's just a continuous line. Whoops, we've lost our marker. I'm actually pretty excited. I think this is gonna knit up pretty quickly. We'll get to the body today for sure. And then maybe even get to start the brim where the terrifying double knitting starts. So many thumbs up already. Let's go. I know I'm clearly struggling with some of these patterns, but I just want to say that I think pattern making is such an amazing skill. To design a knitwear project and then scale it for sizes and provide written instructions to a complex task, I could never. So just in case I get frustrated with any of these, that's a skill issue on my part, okay? Plenty of people in Ravelry haven't struggled with these. I checked. Look at it. Look at it. Hang on. There we go. Oh, so pretty. This is why I like dyeing my own yarn, because I get really nice variation that I just don't get if I buy a ball of yarn straight from like Bendigo Wool Mills or something like that. The little increases are done. I already kind of want to make this again with a modification. From the side it will be pointed, but from the front you get this like flat section, and like I get that's how she designed it, but I would kind of love to try it with maybe just like 3 or 4, it'll like make it more pointy, and then like still get to the same amount with the increases and just have more of a point, like make it a little bit more elvish. But now that we have done all of the increases, very good. Now it is time to finish stitching the body. I just have to do yay big distance of stocking net, and then you do reverse stocking net. I was terrified when I read that. I was like, what could reverse stocking net possibly be? It's just purl all the stitches, so it's stocking net on the other side. All right, I'll see ya when we get to the brim. Bye. At this point, I thought I would be clever and change to a smaller cable so I don't have to do magic loop anymore. This is a mistake. Do not do this. The instructions are written for magic loop, and also I still need to change to a different cable when we get to the double knitting. Also, somehow the shorter cable was more annoying than magic loop. Removable stitch markers needed to be placed for the ear flaps, and I can't find my little round end safety pin ones that they have on the tags of nice clothes, so I had to use regular safety pins. Let me tell you, these ain't it cheap. Don't worry, I finally ordered some removable stitch markers. It was only like $7. I don't know why I put it off for so long. All right, so lighting, very dark. So we've done the body, and this is where it gets weird. I need to switch to a size down in the needles, which is also a slightly longer cable, and then I need to flip it inside out. Why is that? And then I have to do prepping for double knitting. And I did look up lots of tutorials for that, and I am gonna need to revisit that now that I think about it. Knit in the front and the back. I'm pretty sure I remember how to do that, so that we have double the amount of stitches, and then we start the double knitting. And I'm gonna be honest, I have a little bit of a headache. It's quite late, and I am due to have a bath and finish watching the Da Vinci Code with Thomas. So I am going to get started with it, see how we go, and we'll probably finish this up tomorrow. And by finish this up, I mean just struggle through that double knitting. I switched to the longer cable and flipped the hat inside out as instructed, but that means the yarn is on the wrong side. So what did clever me do? I just kept knitting in the same direction, achieving nothing. So we have a change of direction so that we're knitting on the outside of the brim. It's a weird process because if you change direction, you get a hole in the knitting, and the instructions were like, don't worry about it, it won't be visible. But I did worry about it, and I made it worse by doing an unresolved wrap and turn, you'll see later. Please enjoy some footage of Alf refusing to get out of bed to eat his breakfast, keeping that one little foot on. It's cold and rainy and dark today, can you tell? So, I say as I sip my tea. We have added all of our additional stitches so that we can get started with the double knitting, which based on people's comments on Ravelry, hurts your fingers. I don't know why it would, but now we have like a knit and a purl ready to go. See how it's like there's a knit then a purl? So we're gonna knit the knits, and then we're gonna slip the purls with the purl in front, and then we swap it. Hang on, I've lost my beginning of round marker. As always, we knit a knit, slip. I just don't get how that is supposed to create like a tube. I don't get it. Okay, don't purl it. Slip it, knit, slip. Don't purl it, just slip it. Slip purlwise, just slip. Slip purlwise, don't purl it. This took absolutely all of my brain power, and it's not made any easier by the fact that you need to reverse it for every alternate round, purling the pearls and slipping the knits purlwise, which is not easy to remember when I don't understand why I'm doing it. Also, it didn't help that I hadn't had lunch yet, so I was not at full capacity. This is your reminder to go eat something nice. I had tortellini with broccoli. So we're only a couple of rows into the double knitting. There we go. So yeah, can you see it? I can't see it. Stocking knit on both sides. I thought really hard about like where the yarn was going, and I finally get what I'm doing. I'm knitting 2 rows of stocking knit on either side, and you're just knitting one at a time. They're both on the needles though. So one's facing me, because like, it's really hard to explain, but my brain understands it. That's the important thing. Oh my gosh, totally not related. No one cares. I don't care if you don't care, but I just listened to Mermaids by Florence and the Machine for the first time. What a bop. I'm realizing that I never listened to this whole album. I love Between Two Lungs and Ceremonials, and I guess I've just continued listening to those since they came out. I haven't really listened to any of their other albums, and so what a joy. I have multiple albums to listen to, so that is my day. I'm gonna see if I can put some music in that sounds like the vibes. We're not gonna be able to, you just have to look it up if you don't know the song. Obviously no similar music, but after Dance Fever, I listened to Everybody Scream, and I am obsessed with it. Not like influencer obsessed, Neurospicy obsessed, where it's all I listen to on repeat for 72 hours. So update time, we have 2 updates. 3 updates, I walked Alf in the rain and he hated it. We are barely halfway through the double knitting. I didn't think about the fact that these weigh the same, right? They weighed the same when I started. This yarn is way thicker, so we're going through it at a pace. So I'm currently dyeing some more of this yarn. I have like 1 ball of this left. It is gonna be a different color. Like it's not the same dye lot, it's fine, it doesn't matter. I'm sure I have enough of this one and that will be consistent, so it's fine. That's the update. But also, it does hurt my hands to do double knitting. I am gripping onto this needle for dear life. I think the tension is odd. I don't know what it is, but like I can't seem to hold it without like really white knuckling it. So it hurts, it's slow. I actually don't think we're gonna get to the bind off today. I'm gonna keep going at a very slow pace, meanwhile stressing about how much yarn we have. Cool? Good. I will see you when this is finished. Also at this point, my brother yelled out to me about something and I have no idea what it was, but apparently it was very funny and I decided I need to go have a look. I know I said I would meet up with you when I finished, but I just thought you'd want to see how much of a good time I'm having while doing double knitting. Double knitting has got to be the most demoralizing knitting that I have ever done. Sorry for the mess, where like I need instructions, I need measuring tapes. It's not even out of the shot now. You knit a row, you measure it, and then you knit another row, and it's still the same measurement because you have to do 2 rows to have any advancement. It took so long. We're still about half a centimeter short of where the brim is supposed to be. I'm calling it because that's what I've got left. And I don't think that's enough to do 2 goes around and then a tubular bind off. Question for anyone who's done double knitting. Does it hurt less if you're using like a finer yarn and smaller needles? Does it hurt less if you're using the 2-strand method because maybe the tension is better? I don't know, but I don't understand how anyone could knit an entire scarf or like a jacket in double knitting. I'm starting to think I'm not gonna like this hat when it's finished purely because of how frustrating it's been to make. Not helped by the fact that I'm playing yarn chicken. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. So I have dyed the yarn, the additional yarn, and we've made a discovery. The woman who spun the yarn, she said that it was mostly alpaca and silk, all natural fibers. And I was like, great. And in my head, I was like, silk, protein-based. It's mulberry silk. It is plant-based, and the wool dye doesn't work on it. And that last ball that I had was mostly mulberry silk. That's really frustrating. It's good, I'm having a good time, except for how much my hands hurt. I finished the brim and the tubular bind off, which is unfathomably my favorite bind off. Even though it's super fiddly and time consuming and you have to cut the yarn first, so it's also a little anxiety inducing. Okay, it felt like we were never gonna get there, but it's time to block this one because the ear flaps go on after. Really hoping that the blocking process is going to fix how the brim sits, because it's just if you fold the brim up, it just like rolls like that and we see all the purl stitches. So I'm gonna set that to block and we will catch up once it's dry. But also, I will start another hat, but I won't show that until this process is finished because like narratively, I feel like that makes more sense. Now I really tried to block this one with the brim folded up so that it would retain the right shape, but it's winter and it just didn't work. I found the secret to staying warm without putting the heater on. I'm wearing 2 jumpers. I have another jumper underneath this one, and then I'm also wearing leggings underneath my pants. So it's been about a week and this is still wet. I gave up on blocking it on the blocking mat like 3 or 4 days in, and this has been on the clothes horse. It's still damp. Doesn't matter. We have to finish it. This is what we have left of the regular yarn. There's also this swatch, which I'm thinking I'm gonna unravel. And these are our dyed skeins. So we have a problem. Mostly blue, mostly white, because of the mulberry silk, as I know I've already explained at some point. So I'm gonna wind this up and then we are going to watch an instructional video to know how to pick up the ear flaps, because we have to do more double knitting. I gotta tell you, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do more double knitting. I think I might hate it. I don't know why I'm still talking. Let's go. My plan here was to wind the yarn into 2 balls, one for each ear flap, with the white yarn in the center, so that if I did get to it, there would be a gradient on both and not just one ear flap that's entirely white and one that's blue. Also, I did my new wet felting join, which recording me has already explained, but for you it comes later in the video because who likes linear narratives? Yawn. Also, I tried unraveling that swatch and it turned out it was mostly white too. All right, we have our balled up yarn. It doesn't quite match. Oh well, this one does. So hopefully by that one being consistent throughout, it'll be fine. We are gonna get started on picking up those ear flaps. And remember, double knitting, we need to pick up twice as many as it says. Well, no, twice as many as we have. Yes? I don't know. It was really tricky picking up the stitches for the ear flaps. I'm gonna say because the hat was damp and the yarn just didn't want to move along the needle. Also, it felt gross. But I figured that once we got through the first few rows, I would only be knitting with dry yarn, so it would cease to be an issue. It also took a minute to get my head around the double knitting flat, but it's way easier than in the round because both rows are the same. So I'm almost at the point where I'm supposed to start doing the reducing to get to the little point. And I thought, man, these are really big. If I was to do this again, I would probably pick up less stitches because I think that they're just massive. That's the wrong size needle. This is 6mm and it's meant to be in 5mm. It doesn't sound like it would be, but the difference between the 5mm and 6mm needles is huge when you look at them side by side. Good news is I only ripped it back to the picked up stitches, so at least I didn't have to do that again. We have made it back to where we were on those ear flaps. I need to knit 2 together, purl 2 together through the back loop. And people online say that that is a very difficult one to do and that they wouldn't wish it on their worst enemy. So, purl 2 together through the back loop. Oh, I see. So it's like, it would be like that. The internet had me so worried about these, so I did what I thought it would be, but it wasn't that hard. So I did look up a tutorial after, and Norman from Nimble Needles said it would be hard to do unless you have the Xiaogu needles, which have a sharp point. So my bougie taste is paying off for once. And I hope I did that purl 2 together through the back loop correct, because I did not look up how to do it. That just seemed like how you do it. Look, it's reducing it in some way, so it's probably fine. I will keep doing that until we get to the point, and then we do the last reductions for the tip, and then the eye cord, and then we only have 1 ear flap left. I wanted to shake you, be like, ah! Well, I did it. Okay, so we're gonna do that. But first, I'm gonna go to the shops to pick up a very exciting order that just came in. Okay, bye. Look what I got. Da, 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 da. Look at how sad the English version is compared to the European version. I'd love to chat to the publishers to understand the decision to be like, for the Europeans, they can have this beautiful pink and green bold cover, and then for this one we get white. Like, this cardigan has white and then they put it on a white background. It's very odd. Anyway, I'm super excited about this because I love her vibe. I love that it's all kind of about like techniques and using up scraps and just having fun with it. I'm rather tired, so I don't know that I'm expressing my full joy at this, but I am very excited to continue on with my knitting journey. The final decreases for the ear flaps were quite simple, although it's the kind of thing where you need the instructions right in front of you. So tell me this, fellow knitters, do you also always have a mindless knitting project on the go for watching TV, etc., where you don't need instructions or counting? I've been working on a scarf for months and I'm about to frog it for like the 3rd time, I think, because I want to add a silk mohair strand to it now. And I figure the longer it takes to knit, the more value for money I get in terms of entertainment versus dollars spent. Also, the non-applied eye cord is a delight to do. I'm going to find ways to incorporate it into projects. All right, that is the first ear flap and eye cord done. I think I might have judged too quickly when it comes to this pattern because like the top of it really knit up quickly. The brim was just really difficult, but like doing the double knitting on the ear flaps and the eye cord was actually really quick. Here, I'll show you. See, it's already done. Doesn't it look so cute? And it is still morning. That's how quickly that knit up. I've walked Elf, I had breakfast, I cooked breakfast. Also, I haven't gotten any better at estimating how much yarn I need. I didn't need to go to that effort of hiding the white ones on the inside of these. I'll add them to the scrap pile of yarn. Oh God, so cool. No, worse. Okay. that's fine. Now it is time to go do beanie number 4. I'm lying, of course. I've already completed hat number 4 and this me is gonna go do hat number 5. But don't worry, editing me is gonna sort it out and make it one linear story for you. Also, this is still damp, so I'm gonna go hang this up to dry again. It is finally time to start the Gujo hat. I'm really excited about this one because of the yarn that we're using. I already have 2 hats that are on the gray spectrum in this video, so I was like, we gotta go for a color for this one. And so, oh my God, why did no one tell me how soft silk mohair is? I don't think I'd actually touched it. I've seen so many videos of people using it, but I haven't actually gone into a store and been like, oh, that's lovely. The store that I got it from only had 2, and I didn't think to check my head measurement before I went, and I was like, 2 is probably fine. I'm probably the smallest size. No, so I had to express ship a 3rd one of these from a different store in Queensland. The first 2 balls cost me like $20 each, and then the last one cost me $35. So this is a really expensive hat, and we're using 2 yarns. So the pattern calls for a 4-ply, I think, and it is one that's not available here. But also what I had was this baby pink yarn that I picked up from an op shop back in summer. So before we get stressed about it, I bought it in summer and then left it in my car for a couple of months. So it's been exposed to some very warm days, at least one 40-degree day in the car, the coven, if you will. First I washed it and then I dyed it, so it got boiled, so we're all good. It doesn't have any nasties in it. So this yarn had labels on it. One of the yarns was from Lincoln Wool Mill, and I haven't heard of Lincoln Wool Mill. So I looked it up and they closed in 1962. So this yarn is, at a minimum, 60 years old, which is crazy. The rest of the yarn was Patterns and Baldwin, and that company was renamed in 1961, so also over 60 years old. It does have some quirks though due to its advanced age. It's a bit felted, the strands stick together, and it was like this before I dyed it, so that made it quite time consuming to wind. I had to pull the strand of the hank as I went. Also, this yarn breaks a lot. We just do a little bit of an overlap, but just like introduce a little bit of water to it, and then I just like roll it between my fingers, and then like across my palm. Voila, wet felted yarn. Anyway, I'm probably still in the explaining stages of this hat, so back to it. Why are you still here? And they came out so good. They're so pretty. And as I was attempting to explain and got sidetracked, so sidetracked, I wasn't sure if these were actually 2-ply or 4-ply. It said 2-ply fingering, and I'm like, what does that mean? So I did a swatch trying just one of these held together with 2 of these. This one is really like holy. I was like, oh, that's not good. It's not thick enough. And it's only 8 centimeters. Whereas this one with the 2 strands held together, it's nice and thick. You can't really see through it. And it's exactly 10 centimeters. Ah, amazing. I checked the pattern. Ooh, it's a long tail cast on. This one is done in a half fisherman's rib, and I'd never done that before. Half fisherman's rib has 2 rounds. So the first round is knit all, and then the second round is you have to purl underneath the bumps of the purl stitches. I'm now like 100% sure that this one's gonna be easier than the City Hiker beanie, my nemesis of this video. Let's just get into it. So we need 4mm needles, and for me to stop blathering. Is blathering the right word? Blabbering? Talky. Too much talky. Just made it. That's how long we had left on the tail. I feel like this entire video is just me playing yarn chicken over and over again in different colors. So we have our very beautiful looking round. Oh, so lovely, so satisfying. So first round, just knit all. Longer cable. What have I done? My yarn is going through the hole for some reason. Whatever, that's fine. Look how light it is. Like, oh, that's the heater. I have the heater right here out of shot because it's very cold, but look at that. So light. Now you see why I want to add the silk mohair to my scarf. I am enamored with it apparently. Okay, I remembered how to do the half fisherman's rib. When you insert below the purl bump is on the other side. It's the back of the knit stitch. We're going, we are proceeding. We have a ton of knitting to do. I do this all the time. I always make these videos where I'm like, that'll be different because it's 5 different hats. That's a lot of the same process, So this is the purl stitch, just in the gap below the stitch, then pull it off. Easy. And then I guess I just do that for the next couple of days. I mean, like, I'm having a good time. I want you to have a good time. How do I make sure you're having a good time? I'll have to think about it, all right? Have you seen all of those? Hang on. Have you seen all of those? If you haven't seen all of those videos, you have to go back and watch them now. Not right now, wait till you finish this video, but like that's the rules. This one is actually my tapestry. This is the wall hanging. It fell down. Renting. This has taken 4 days. I will say we've had some other activities in between that, but knitting on 4mm needles, while very pleasant and nice for my hands, they have started hurting at this stage. Yeah, this is taking ages. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I thought this project would take me 5 days total. This hat is gonna take me more than 5 days. This video's not coming out forever. Something that's happened quite a bit. It's really pretty easy if you're not super paying attention to drop a purl stitch. And then I tried to look up online, how do I fix a dropped purl stitch on this? And I couldn't find anything. Everyone was like, put a lifeline in and rip it back a couple of rows. So I was like, I'm not doing that. But I did figure out on my own how to fix it. So I'm gonna show you that now, just in case you are doing half Fishman rib and need to know how to fix a dropped purl. And I'll show you how it happens too. If you pull these down, you can see that the previous row is knit stitches. This one is a knit row here. That's our purl row next to it. So I will knit this one. The correct way to go through this is there's like a hole here and it goes in there. And so you get the yarn here and here. I wasn't really aware of that when I started this, and occasionally I would get it there. You see how like that top one here is caught on nothing. Oh, actually, sorry, I have to bring the yarn forward. And we purl it. It looks okay-ish, except that when this pops through, you end up with this loose bit, and I was like, oh no. Crochet hook. Okay, we're gonna bring this one off of the needle, pull that through. It's like through the top, grab that. Think that that's all 4 strands. Nope, that's only 3. Can you see why I don't do tutorials? Ah, where are you? All right, that's all 4 strands. We put it back on there. Hopefully that is facing the right way. It looks like it is. Oop, we dropped some here. Come back, oh no. Now it is fixed. Was that helpful? I hope that helped. I feel like I'm taking up too much of the screen here. Okay, so the hat has reached the length that it needs to be. And by the way, if you noticed a continuity error, yes, I got a new nose ring delivered in between these 2 shots. I don't know how I feel about it yet. It feels like it's quite a lot, and we're switching to silver. It like spikes my lip. So what was I saying? We've reached the length that this needs to be. We're now getting into the part of why I thought this hat would be one of the hardest ones, because I don't understand any of the instructions that follow this section. So now I have to pick up stitches on the cast on edge with a smaller needle, fold it up, and then knit them together. I'm gonna save us all a lot of time with this and just summarize what happened. I picked up the cast on loops at the end, making sure they were all right to left, only to get most of the way done and deciding that I must be doing it wrong because the pickup didn't look continuous. So I struggled to take all of that off the needles, 3mm needles that I bought specifically for this task, by the way, and then picked up the stitches again in the way I thought was correct. I couldn't find a tutorial for picking up stitches on a cast on edge without yarn on a rib, hence my absolute fumbling through this. Anyway, then I needed to sneeze, but I lost it and I didn't get to sneeze until the next morning. With my newly, and spoiler this time incorrectly, picked up stitches, I attempted to knit the 2 rows together, which was just awful. They moved around so much and I kept nearly dropping the stitches. Then of course I realized that where I had knit the 2 edges together, there was absolutely no stretch. So I undid my work again and found a tutorial for doing this exact task, but without needing to pick up the stitches on the smaller needles first. All you do is align the cast on tail with your current stitch and pick up the edge with the left needle. It's really simple. Like, it made me really mad how simple it is. Now I have to figure out something to do with those 3mm needles because I bought them for nothing. So this is what it's supposed to look like, obviously. And if you're wondering, this is what it looks like to be both relieved and seething at the same time. It looks deceptively like having a good time. I'm calm now. I'm fine. Look, so pretty. We did it. Now I have wonderful news. The instructions say that the next round might be a little difficult. It wasn't though, it was just a little tight. Next up was a German short row, but without it being short, it was just to change the direction of the knitting, so I guess it was just a German row. It described a double stitch without actually calling it that, but this would have been great for the direction change on the City Hiker beanie where I did a wrap and turn and failed to resolve it, as always. It barely even shows up on camera, but I can see it. After the direction change, I thought we were home free, but it turns out I need to knit the entire length of the body. So I threw on a Defunctland video, and oh my god, look how horrifying Ariel looks out of focus. Let's have a look. It's probably a bit big, to be honest, because this could just keep going. This could just fall all the way down. But I think if you go, well, there's going to be another layer in there, that'll be good, because then it won't be too tight. I do think that the Gujo Hat pattern has been translated into English, which might be where some of my confusion comes from. In particular, this line had me a bit stumped. I spent way too long trying to figure out which way it was supposed to be. Actually, you know what? It was also this line from the start of the pattern where they said that the wrong side should be out, which as far as I can tell is the side facing you when you work, which I always think of as the right side. I'm not complaining, I am just explaining. Like I said, I think this is an amazing skill to be able to do to create patterns. You know what else would be amazing? If you could share this video and comment and like it and subscribe if you haven't. I know it's white noise, but it really does help the channel so much, and I put so much work into this video, it took so long. Did I mention that it was meant to only be 5 days? I know I've mentioned it, but yeah, this blew out into like a 5-week project. It was supposed to be a little one in between my big projects, so please help. Okay, so this is fun. I'm speeding it up, but I checked in real time, and at this point I was so in the zone that I went 42 seconds without blinking. We've made it to the point, finally, where we are doing double decreases. I think that it's because of the 4mm needles. I think it's just, this is a slow one. I got up at 6 and started knitting this morning. I'm very happy. We're gonna put in some markers, and then it's double decreases, which it says will result in a spiral. So let's trust the process, and I don't know, maybe, I don't think we're gonna finish this today, to be honest. We'll just try our best. We'll do what we can. My God, this has gone on for so long. I'm like astounded that I thought I could do this in a week. But my only experience of knitting hats took 1 day, so it was the best information I had. All right, yeah, I'll stop talking, let's go. I knit up the next round and added the stitch markers for the decreases, and that's about as far as I got. My alarm just went off because I set myself a 5-minute timer because I put a pot on to boil so I could make some lunch, because it turns out it's lunchtime and I'm very hungry. I sat down and started placing the markers, completely forgot that I've put a pot on to boil and I'm home alone. Thank God I remembered to set the alarm. There's that whole thing of like, oh, I'm always scared I'm gonna burn down the house. I am. It's boiling. Good. So I had some lunch and went back to placing my markers, and then... All right, well, I have a feeling that today isn't gonna be a particularly productive day. I put a load of washing on. I heard the machine making a banging sound. The washing machine started walking forwards in front of the laundry door, which can't be opened from the outside. The gap isn't big enough to get hands in. Yeah, the washing machine door is here, impacting this door. Also, to stop the washing machine from continuing on its path of destruction, I had to turn the power off, and that's where our fridge is. Yay. Also, it's not like I can just take the hinges off the door because they're on the other side. Oh my God, I did it. I did it. I did it, Elf. I pushed on this one far enough back. They're taped together. I pushed on this one far enough back that I was able to push the door open. Oh my God, I was absolutely picturing, I'm gonna have to go buy a replacement door and then try and match it to the paint in this house that's like 40 years old. Crisis averted, I did it. I knew it. I was like, I can figure this out. I can solve this on my own. I am a grown woman. I'm leaving the door open now just in case, so. Also, this is a super useful decrease. Because it's a double decrease, the ribbing pattern is retained. This whole hat adventure is worth it just to learn that. Now, for the first time, I actually had the right size DPNs, so for the decreases, I decided to switch to those, because as we all know, DPNs are just easier than magic loop, right? And DPNs don't result in ladders, right? Right? So the spiral is starting. We're getting this nice little, line there, but can you see how like it's dragging here? We're getting like it's pulling. So when I started knitting, I thought that I would use straight needles and double pointed needles. All of the advice online was like, don't invest in the long needles. There are some very pretty ones, like on the cover of the Vogue knitting book, so nice. And I was like, no, I'm going to use the straight needles and I'm gonna do it old school, because like the way my brain works is I get pieces of fabric and I cut them to the right shape and then I sew them together. And I was like, knitting will be the same. I'll just knit them to the right shape and sew them together. Everyone said, don't get straight needles and DPNs because you'll just end up switching to circulars. And I was like, I don't think I like DPNs. This whole time that we've been doing this project, I've been like, I should get DPNs in the right size. They're so much easier. No, they're not. They're really annoying. And I'm getting ladders on every one of the joins. So I'm gonna switch to magic loop. I'm really glad I tried it for this one because yeah, I definitely had in my head that I should go get DPNs, but it's driving me nuts. I don't like it. I think I'm a magic loop convert. I think I'd rather do that, or at least my traveling loop. So we're switching, and then we're finishing this hat. Okay, slip, slip, knit, pull over. I think that right there is why I like knitting so much. So I am very, what do you call it? I need to move my hands all the time. And when I'm knitting, my brain is just going slip, slip, knit, purl, knit. It's like the one time that one of my monologues calms down. I am about to do my final decrease for the top of the hat, and guess what I just discovered? I am meant to have 4 stitches between each of the markers right now, and one of them has 6. I missed a decrease at some point. I can't see where it is. Like they all look the same. I think I'm just gonna do my final decrease row. There's meant to be 8 stitches at the end. I guess there'll be 10, and one of them will have 1 extra rib row in it. Oh well, I think we'll live. So I finally did my last decrease row on this hat that lasts forever, and I'm serious, you really can't tell that I missed a decrease. And then I just looped the yarn through the last stitches to close it off. Not without pulling the needle out, no. I actually did that a couple of times. I lost so many stitches on this, it's too much footage, I'm not including it. Close enough. Oh, and check it out, I won Yarn Chicken again. Actually, I had heaps left. I might make some mittens. This seemed like such a good space to sit like 3 minutes ago, and now the sun is in my face. Hang on. That's better. Hi. So it is time to do our 5th beanie. This is the yarn that we're using, and as you can see, that's a super bulky one. So that should be quicker to knit up. This is the style of hat that I want to do. Something, an amalgamation of these types of hats. It might seem like a cop-out, and it kind of is, but I also really like how it looks. So I often roll up the sleeves of this sweater. Hang on, I'm gonna show you. Oh no, I have to get really close. Hang on. Oh, I have to move. So it's all purl stitches. I actually really like how that looks. I appreciate it's different. You don't normally see stuff that's just the purl side. I don't really want to have to get the length of it like exact. And then the little tiny acorn point. So this was part of a bag of yarn that someone gave me like 8 years ago at this stage, and they were like, oh, I meant to learn to knit and I didn't, so you can have this. And I was like, I guess I'll get around to that at some point. And we have. I have no idea where this is from. It feels really soft. Based on the colors, I'm gonna say this is undyed. That looks like it's natural fibers. So the first thing that we have to do is a little bit of a swatch test to see how many stitches fit to 10 centimeters. Then I'll measure up my head, and then we will aim for that with a little bit less. Although with the roll up, I do want to do a double fold brim. So we might aim for like exactly the same. First I tried swatching on an 8mm set of needles. Oh my gosh, that gradient is so pretty. Super, super dense. We are looking at 8 stitches for 10 centimeters. Look at the winter sun, Jesus. I'm gonna do a swatch in the 10s. Okay, I don't understand how the stitch gauge is exactly the same on the 10mm. It's a bit looser, like it's not as dense. I don't know. But I realized that I don't have corresponding DPNs or a longer version of this in order to do the decreases. So we're using the Xiaogu interchangeable. Oh, the sun's coming out again. I feel like 9mm would be perfect for this, but I don't have that, and I'm certainly not buying any more needles for this. So let's do some maths. So it should be above the ears. Oh, I already know what my measurement is. What am I doing? I need a calculator. So if I divide that by 10, why am I dividing it by 10? I can't tell you why, but I know I need 5.3, which is 8 stitches, times that by 5.3, so 42 stitches. I don't know why that's right, but I just feel like that's right. I can't reverse engineer it to explain to you what that is, but that'll work. Okay, double roll the beanie, like 7 centimeters. So if we go in, out, 14, it's so scientific. Yeah, okay, 7 again, 21 decreases, 18. So like 9 centimeters, 10 to 11. I can do this. We can figure this out. 10 rounds to reduce from 42 stitches to 8 stitches. If you do it every second round, 6.8. Okay, no, this is gonna make sense. What is happening with this lining? God, is 34 a prime number or something? What divides into 34? We'll just round down, it's fine. I've done some very confusing maths. We are going to cast on 42 stitches. We are going to knit until it reaches 21 centimeters. Then we are going to start doing decreasing. We're gonna start doing decreasing rounds. Every second round, we will do 6 knit 2 togethers. And then they will start to, I don't know if any of this is gonna work. We're probably gonna have to pull it back. Gosh darn it, I'm gonna give it a red hot go. Sorry, that was a lot, but can you see through the screen how soft and squishy that yarn is? Audio, hello, yes, we have audio, hi. So this was all really good in theory. I've made it like this far with our stitching. It's so pretty. absolutely churning through this yarn. When I got to 9 centimeters of knitting, which is the length that I will use for my reduction, come on, decreasing rows, I weighed this and that was 35 grams. If I am reducing it down to like a little circle, we're gonna need like just over half that to do the reducing. So let's say like 20 grams. I weighed this at the time, it was 63 grams, which means we're so close to getting the 21 centimeters that we need plus the decreases. Basically, I just have to stop knitting this when I get to 20 grams left and do the decreases. As long as I do that, there should be enough. Maybe 22, 23 grams, because I do want to do our little acorn point, which it looks like I have right now because of the way my hat is positioned behind me. Hang on. Haha! I'm sorry, I'm so tired and that's very entertaining to me. Okay, so shockingly, I think my math is off in some way or another. Also, I think my gauge is off. I think I got real tight with my knitting because like this feels as dense as the 8mm, but it's definitely the 10 and like it's a bit tight. We only made it to 18 centimeters and now we have 23 grams left on this and it's really not looking like that much. So we're gonna start the decreasing right now. Fingers crossed we have enough to do our acorn tip. All right, y'all, you heard me. It is time to play the most intense game of yarn chicken ever. We lost yarn chicken. We did not get to do the acorn top on the hat. Like there's nothing to weave in. Thanks, I hate it. I wanted my acorn top. I'm gonna try it on and then I'm gonna make a decision because this is not what I was picturing. Okay, I'm back. It's actually really cute. It's got a little bit of a point. I do need to like weave in these ends somehow, but I do think that with blocking, I might be able to stretch that little point out a tiny bit more. So I'm gonna call it. Look at that. On the last day, we actually made a hat in one day as I initially planned. I don't feel confident in my ability to judge yarn leftness. I can make a pretty cute hat without a pattern. So sorry for the emotional whiplash there with my mood. It's so cute it does look like an acorn. I guess it's time, after I block that, for a hat fashion show. Let's go. We did it! Hello! I hope you enjoyed my very professional fashion show. I have 5 hats. None of them give me headaches. I've been wearing them for the last couple of days while this one was blocking, like trying them out. Surprisingly, this might be the one that I reach for the most. Fits like really perfectly. It's like quite dense. This is really warm and cozy, and I actually think that it's really cute. I would have loved a little bit more of a point on the tip there, but I have a bunch of, scrap yarns left over from projects, and I think I'm gonna make some hats like this with little points to maybe give away as gifts to people. I did that so high because I could tell as I said it, I was like, when are you gonna have time to do that? I don't know, I'm still finding more hats that I wanna knit. Like this one here, it looks like a clown. My list of knitting projects just keeps growing, so let's calm down and focus on these ones. My second favorite would have to be this one, although I can't tell you how long I sat with this in my cart, this one, the off-white, and also the light beige, like on the example ones. Like I would add it and then take it out and add it and take it out. I now know why everyone uses light beige. This looks like a Christmas hat. Next, This one looks so silly on me. I think it's too big, but it looks like one of those big fur hats. It's a lot. I think it slides down my face, so it sits like right on my eyebrows. So yeah, it's too big. I got that one wrong, which is a bummer considering how expensive this was and how much time it took. Still gonna wear it. It's incredibly comfortable because of it being quite large. Definitely no headaches, and it's really, really soft. I cannot explain to you how soft this one is. I don't know, I feel a little silly in it. Please tell me that it's not silly. This one does not work with braids. We'll just real quick. Oh, that's why I didn't wear my hair down, because of this shirt. So I find this super cute. Just like a general complaint with this, that it just keeps rolling up. You have to like pull it down so that it sits in the right spot. I do think that I get away with the pointy hat. I think it's cute. What I thought would be my least favorite is definitely not. It's up there. And the one that I thought would be my most favorite, the green one, is probably my least favorite. It's also quite possible that the alpaca is not the best choice for the hat. This is not amazing right next to the skin. In terms of difficulty, this was for sure the easiest one, particularly because I did just stockinette and then reductions, but totally valid way to make a hat, I think. I think it's very cute. It's very hard to gauge the difficulty at this stage now that I've done them all and I know what I would do differently next time. I think mostly they were just surprisingly time consuming. Yeah, this has been totally unhelpful, I'm sorry. This video wasn't particularly cursed. I know that a lot of you were here for the weird stuff, but I suppose if you watched for this long, you don't mind that this wasn't weird, so I appreciate that. But rest assured, I will be going for super cursed next video. We're gonna go down into the depths of how weird I can make stuff, and I am very excited for it. It's gonna take a while. I'm so sorry. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time for God knows what. Hang on, there's someone at the door. How? Y'all, I am home alone. How do I get out of this? I'm just like proper stuck. Oh, ow, my hair! She's disintegrated slightly.